day she was in the Capitol amid the chaos and was awaiting the 2020 election results to be certified. Joining me now, we have Senator Tammy Duckworth. She was also in the Capitol when the rioters stormed it, trying to stop that certification from happening. Senator, it's a pleasure to have you. Welcome to BNC Live. First, how are you today?
Well, I'm a little bit sad. Thank you for having me on. I still have that real sense of betrayal that I've had for this past year just unbelievably watching fellow Americans attack our own democracy. I was a soldier for 23 years. I never thought I'd have to defend Washington, D.C. from Americans in the name of democracy.
Yeah. A soldier for 23 years. You watched Capitol Police, basically the grounds of our democracy, become a battleground, fighting hand-to-hand combat for hours. What stands out to you about that day?
Just how much hate was in that crowd. And I have these images that float through my mind. I will never forget watching the American flag, the same flag I wore on my uniform as I was doing peacekeeping missions. And as I was fighting in Iraq with that same American flag on my uniform, on my shoulder, to watch these fellow Americans take that same flag, and they were beating Capitol police officers with it. My office in the Capitol was right next to where they broke in, and I was watching on TV from a secure location as they were beating down the very window to my office trying to gain entry. And then for weeks afterwards, I was still picking out bits of broken glass that had found their way into, in between the keyboard, the buttons on my keyboard. And it's just a real wound that really just has never healed. And I doubt it will ever heal in my heart.
Yeah. How were you removed? Do you mind telling us where you were and how you were moved to a safe location when all this was happening? Because watching it on TV was just something else. I mean, I still get chills. I can't imagine what you felt like being there.
So I was in the tunnels. They breached the Capitol doors. The first breach happened at 2:15. That's when the Capitol went into lockdown. At 2:30, I was making my way from my heart offices to the Capitol, going to my Capitol office that actually was under assault. And I was in the tunnels when the Capitol Police came to me and said, "Hey, you are trying to get to the Capitol building itself. You can make it onto the Senate floor and then we'll evacuate you. But you should know the Senate has gone into lockdown." And at that point, I thought, great. If I made it or I got to the Senate floor, I would be with the other senators and they would move all of us to a secure location. But I'm a wheelchair user. And so I decided then I had two staff members with me, one of whom is a former Kurdish freedom fighter who helped enforce a no-fly zone. And he and I looked at each other and let's go secure ourselves in a different location, because for them to evacuate me from the Senate floor would have meant people having to carry my wheelchair, people having to carry me. It would have slowed everybody down. So I went into a different location, locked myself in, barricaded the three of us in, and we waited about 3-4 hours to be evacuated when the Capitol Police could finally spare about a dozen officers to come and pull us out from where we were and take us to join the other senators.
Yeah, Senator, how scary was that, being a woman in a wheelchair when all this chaos is happening around you?
I wasn't so much scared as I was really angry. I trust in my own ability. Again, I was a soldier for 23 years. If I have to run over people with my wheelchairs and fight my way out, I'm perfectly confident in my ability to do that. And so my overwhelming feeling was betrayal and anger that these were Americans and that they were attacking our Capitol police officers, that they were desecrating our nation's Capitol. You watch them as beating down these doors and these windows. And this is a 200-year-old building that they were desecrating. And just the anger and the vitriol and the shouts of, they wanted to hang Mike Pence. And they were, it was just surreal to see those words and those actions coming from fellow Americans aimed at, our nation's Capitol. And so for me, it was just a real sense of, betrayal. But then I was just determined that we were going to take back that Capitol building. And if I had to stay there all day and all through the next day, I was going to retake those Senate chambers. And I was going to continue to carry out my duties as written in the Constitution to certify those electoral ballots. Yeah. And we did about 3 a.m.
Yeah, you all did. Nothing stopped you, which is very American, to say the least. You spoke about the anger. Here we are a year later. There's still some whitewashing about what actually happened. What's your message to your colleagues that say, you know, it was a peaceful protest, it was just tourists walking through the Capitol?
Yeah, then why weren't they walking through the Capitol? Why were they the ones running away with the Capitol Police and until they were in a safe place? There was not just a little whitewashing. There's a lot of whitewashing going on. And in fact, people are trying to deny what happened that day, but we can all watch the video. But now is the time for us to redouble our efforts to make our democracy stronger than ever before and to hold accountable those responsible for this horrific violence, not just the people who were there on that day, but also the people who instigated it. Former President Trump and those key advisors around him are all also responsible, must be held responsible. But then we need to safeguard our democracy, which means we have to pass voting rights legislation. You know, I'm a firm supporter of the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and any piece of voting rights legislation. We need to reaffirm people's rights to vote because we are fast becoming a nation, especially in those Republican states where Republicans control the state legislature and the governor's mansion. We're going to become a country very soon where you're once again going to have to guess how many jelly beans are in the jar before you're allowed to vote. And we can't ever let that happen.
Senator Tammy Duckworth, it was an honor and also a privilege. Thank you so much for stopping by BNC Live, especially today, to talk with us. Thank you.
Thank you.